In studio with us this morning is the superintendent of Knox County Schools, Dr. James McIntyre. Thank you for joining us.
Another obsessive-compulsive nerd on the program this morning.
And it is Tuesday morning. I don't know why you always end up on the show on Tuesday mornings, but this is also the morning you talk to your dad.
It is, yes, sir.
So I don't know why that always works out that way. But anyway, thank you for joining us this morning.
My pleasure.
Also joining us on the broadcast is school board member Karen Carson, who is with us this morning. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
And Lynn Fugate, who is chair. Good morning, Lynn.
Good morning, for less than a month.
You can see the light at the, I am president of an organization here in town, and my term ends in December. And I was at a meeting this weekend, and I looked at the guy who's president-elect, and I just smiled at him and got on one knee, and I said, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and you are my light. So thank you for joining us this morning. 7:38 on the Triple H Morning Show. Headline in the News Sentinel over the weekend was, Mayor wants superintendent out. My understanding is that he was just asked a question at a TV station and by the newspaper. Hey, do you think it's time for him to move on or time for him to go? And the response was yes. That's what I understand the back story on this to be. What was your reaction and your response? And is that your understanding of how this all started?
I don't know how. I don't know the context of the question or the answer. I obviously read the newspaper like everybody else did and saw what the mayor had to say. And, I'm disappointed. I think it's unfortunate that the mayor has sort of gone in this direction. I've tried really hard over the last several years to try to really engage the mayor in collaborating with us around public education. And we've had some successes with that. But, unfortunately, it seems like the mayor lately here feels the need to sort of, I hate to say it this way, but sort of pick a fight with me on a variety of issues. And I think that's, and to elevate the rhetoric in the way that he has this past week. And I think that's really unfortunate. And I think it's obviously disappointing and disheartening. But as I've pointed out, the reality is I work for the school board. I don't work for the mayor. And my job is to work with the school board and to carry out their vision for public education in this community. And I work for the school board and really for the families and the children of this community. And my job is to make sure that our children get a truly outstanding education. And I'm very proud of the work that we've done over the last several years to make sure that our children are getting an outstanding education. And I think we have a very strong track record of educational innovation and success, and I think we can point to a variety of successes. And really, by any objective measure, we're providing a truly terrific education to the children of our community. So, if you look at any of our measures, if you look at our assessment scores, our graduation rates, our ACT scores that we just announced had gone up. The number of students that are taking AP courses and earning credit for them, the fact that we got straight A's on our state report card for the first time ever this past year, by a variety of measures, we're seeing strong academic progress and student success in the Knox County schools. I'm very proud of that, and I look forward to continuing to lead this education effort in our community for the foreseeable future.
It is 7:41 on the Triple H Morning Show. Charges. 7:41. The superintendent of Knox County Schools is in studio with us this morning, and we're having a wide open discussion. Dr. James McIntyre, how long have you been superintendent?
I'm beginning my 7th year as superintendent of Knox County Schools. So I started in July of 2008, and so.
How long does your contract run?
My current contract it runs through December of 2017.
December 2017. So you were surprised then by what you saw in the News Sentinel?
I was surprised by the comments that the mayor made, yes.
Have you had a chance to talk to him since?
I have not. We actually, I've reached out to the mayor in a variety of different ways. We actually had lunch scheduled for yesterday, and his office canceled that meeting. I've tried to reach out to him and periodically try to sit down with him and have lunch. And we've done that several times, but unfortunately, his office canceled lunch yesterday. So no, I have not had a chance to speak with him directly about his comments at this point.
Are you mad?
Am I mad? No, I'm not mad.
I'm just asking that as a human question.
No, I'm not mad. I'm disappointed. I think for me, this is unnecessary. The mayor, I don't know, the mayor doesn't like me, I guess, or the mayor perhaps believes me to be a sort of a convenient political enemy. But this conversation is an extraordinary distraction from the work that we're trying to do of educating children. And that's the unfortunate part is we have a great school system. Our teachers and our staff and our principals are doing great work in educating our children. And this is just a distraction. It's an unnecessary distraction to the work that we're trying to do. My focus needs to be every day on providing a great education to our kids. And it's a complicated, challenging, important job that I hold and that all of us in our school system hold in providing a great education for our kids, preparing them for a bright future. And, we got to keep our focus on that. We got to keep our focus on the future of our children. And this is just a big distraction.
You have a very complicated job in this regard, in my opinion. There is the practical part of the work that you do that is strategic. It's about the deployment of resources, hitting objectives so that you have excellence for every child and you have performance. There are hard metrics, and a metrics-driven person assesses themselves and hopes to be assessed by the numbers, right? You look at a baseball card, you know a player's great, not by the way they look on the front of the card, but by the way they perform on the back of the card, right? So you seem to me to be a back-of-the-card kind of guy. Let's look at the numbers. Let's look at the rational assessment of my performance based on where we said we wanted to be, where we are, where we're trying to go, that kind of a thing. However, as superintendent of Knox County Schools, there are several that you have to address. Not all of those constituencies are back-of-the-card, numbers-driven constituencies. There's a lot more politics or a lot more emotion or a lot more human nature tied to connecting with those constituencies. So you have parents in the community. You have the business community as a constituency or stakeholder. You have students themselves. You have teachers. You have the staff. You have the school board. And then you have the political infrastructure of this community. That's a lot of different people with which to connect. And connecting with them is different. You're talking to your teachers. A while back, the teachers were kind of up in arms about changes, and you had to deal with that. Right. Now you have the political structure of Knoxville because of this wall between education and county commission. County commission appropriates the funds. When they give the money to you, the school board, and you figure out what to do with it to accomplish the educational goals. Do you believe that some of this may just be a failure of making those connections or a difficulty dealing with those different constituencies because it may not just be purely data, numbers, assessment driven? It could be more style, personality, whatever.
Well, Helen, I think it's a great question because I think people really assume that I'm all about the numbers. And, certainly we need to assess where we are as a school system. We need to know where our students are in their learning. We need to be able to have that information so that we can make better instructional decisions and we can make better educational decisions. And I think that is part of the accountability that I have as a superintendent and that we have as a school district is how are we doing and how do we measure our results. But I think there are a lot more important things that, a lot of additional really important things that we look at and measure ourselves on. I mean, I think I believe strongly that it's important that our kids have a positive educational experience. Not just that they're doing well on assessment, but they're learning, that they're growing, that they're developing, that they have the skills that they need to be successful for their future, that they're critical thinkers, that they're problem solvers, that they not only acquire knowledge, but can apply knowledge. I mean, those aren't necessarily easily measured on an assessment. But those are important skills. Those are important experiences. We want our kids to love learning. We want our kids to love reading. We want our kids to have a positive educational experience. And all of those are incredibly important. Now, yes, you're right. This, in addition to running and leading and managing a very large and complex and important organization, this is a very public organization as well. And there's as you know, sort of there's there are a variety of elected officials and bodies that we deal with. And, perhaps perhaps that's not my forte. I'm not a politician, and the politics is not what I'm good at. I like to educate kids. I like to lead an educational organization. So, yeah, perhaps the political aspect of it is something I'm not very adept at, but it's a reality that we have to deal with, and we have an elected school board that I think is really elected by our community to represent the constituencies and to make sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing in terms of moving the district forward and really implementing their vision, which is excellence for every child. And I think we have a very positive story to tell about the progress we've been making.
Len Fugate is chair of the board for at least another month, and Karen Carson, both with us this morning. And I want to ask you guys, as you are here today, you are here to support the superintendent, correct?
I think I'm here to speak for my view of what I perceive as an attack on the board.
All right, and Lynn?
Yeah, I'm here to talk about the Board of Education and our role in education. We're not here necessarily to be cheerleaders for the superintendent.
All right, coming up after the top of the hour, we're gonna open up that conversation. We have Len Fugate, who's chair of the board, Karen Carson, who's a board member, and this is going to be a hot conversation. I would not change that dial. Whatever you do, stay. I mean, stay till they lift the offering. Don't tip out of church early today. Right now, traffic constituencies that you have to address. Not all of those constituencies are back-of-the-card, numbers-driven constituencies. There's a lot more politics or a lot more emotion or a lot more human nature tied to connecting with those constituencies. So you have parents in the community, you have the business community as a constituency or stakeholder, you have students themselves, you have teachers, you have the staff, you have the school board, and then you have the political infrastructure of this community. That's a lot of different people with which to connect, and connecting with them is different. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're talking to your teachers. A while back, the teachers were kind of up in arms about changes, and you had to deal with that. Right. Now you have the political structure of Knoxville because of this wall between education and county commission. County commission appropriates the funds. When they give the money to you, the school board, and you figure out what to do with it to accomplish the educational goals. Do you believe that some of this may just be a failure of making those connections, or a difficulty dealing with those different constituencies, because it may not just be purely data, numbers, assessment driven? It could be more style, personality, whatever.
Well, Helen, I think it's a great question, because I think people really assume that I'm all about the numbers. And, certainly we need to assess where we are as a school system. We need to know where our students are in their learning. We need to be able to have that information so that we can make better instructional decisions and we can make better education.
Here's in studio with us, along with School Board Chair Len Fugate and School Board Member Karen Carson. We will talk to them in just a moment at 8:30. Pat Smith, did he attend Fulton High School?
He did.
Pat Smith, you may not know the name, but for the last however many years, he has been the sound engineer for The Tonight Show.
Oh, wow.
A big-time guy in that scene out in L.A., He's from Knoxville, graduated from Fulton High School.
Wow.
He's going to be in studio later this morning. Tomorrow morning at 7:30, Mayor Burchett will be joining us. Thank you, Mr. Superintendent, for being here this morning.
My pleasure.
What's your bottom line on all of this?
My bottom line on all of this?
If I could set up peace talks, right? If you were sitting at the table with the mayor today, What would you want to say to him, and what do you want him to know, and what result do you want?
So my bottom line is my life's work and my mission is educating children and to continue to provide high-quality public education to our children, to work with our teachers and with our community to make sure that we're preparing our kids for a bright, competitive, and successful future. That's what I wish to do. This is where I wish to do that. And, I plan to do it for the foreseeable future, unless the school board has something different to say about that. And I would hope that the mayor would embrace that effort and work with us and collaborate with us to ensure that occurs. I understand that we sometimes have different perspectives on things like the level of investment that we need to make in public education in our community, and we might have sort of professional differing views, but it doesn't need to be personal. And so let's work together and let's work collaboratively for the benefit of our children and the benefit of our community.
Let me talk to you, Lynn Fugate, as chair of the board. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
What are you here this morning to say?
Well, I came because I was asked to talk about what's going on, and it's kind of interesting. I think I said to you, you wake up one morning and find yourself in the middle of something and you don't quite know how you got there. I think what I want to say is that the superintendent had an evaluation in August. It's public. We discussed it publicly. It's on the website. The school board is not calling for him to go anywhere, not suggesting that we don't want him around. What we've said are we're doing great things in Knox County schools. There are issues that raised themselves last year. We're working on those. The superintendent's been given a directive by the board to continue to work on community relations, teacher relations, and he's doing that. He will be evaluated again next November. I think when you have a performance review and things are pointed out to an employee about what needs to be done, you give them time to do it. And that's what the board has done. We can't deny the tremendous success the state of Tennessee is having in public education. We just can't. We are the fastest improving state in the nation. We are, Knox County has been on the forefront of improvement. And so on the one hand, I find it very depressing that at a time our teachers and our students and our principals and administration are working the hardest they've ever worked and doing the best work they've ever done and getting the best results we've ever gotten, that there is this much furor in a community when we ought to be celebrating that great work. Are we a perfect district? No. Can we do things better? Yes. That's the nature of any organization. But I'm just surprised that we are at a point now where somebody's publicly calling for what is one of the most successful superintendents in the state to leave.
It is 8:12 on the Triple H Morning Show. Karen Carson, what do you want to say this morning?
Well, thank you. I think anytime the board and the superintendent get together on any type of in any type of media, the perception out there is that we're here to defend the superintendent. I'm pretty confident that he can fend for himself. I will say that I've heard, when I listen to Mayor Burchett's comments and read the news headline and all, I see an attack on the board and the Board of Ed. And the Board of Ed is a group of people who have been elected by the people of the same community. I think that the school board, of all the elected offices, maybe short of judges, is the least political in its nature. And what I'm seeing is a tremendous amount of political grandstanding, not just in this event, but over the past months with county commission. To me, I term it political grandstanding. If you are the head of a company, if you are the leader of a community, if you are in charge of things, and there's an area that takes 60% of your budget that you have real concerns about, it seems to me you don't go out and talk to the media about it. You go talk to the people who are running that. I haven't met with the mayor in over 4 years. I asked Thomas Deakins last night. He hasn't met with him since he was board chair, and the board asked for significant increases in funding. Pam Traynor hasn't met with him. Those are the people I heard back from last night. So if you're not going to talk to people to try to come up with solutions, going to just the general public with outrageous statements that just are not founded, irregardless of the superintendent, to say that or imply that the board bashes teachers. I've heard him a number of times say, when did it become popular for anybody to bash, or I don't remember what the exact word were, put down teachers publicly? I challenge anybody to find any instance of the superintendent or this Board of Education putting down teachers. We are here trying very hard to support and get the public to understand the incredible sacrifice our teachers make. Their kids.
8:14 on the Triple H Morning Show. 8:15 on the Hallerin Hilton Hill Morning Show. Mayor Burchett will be in studio tomorrow morning at 7:30. Don't miss that conversation. The mayor would say, maybe, that if he wanted you out, he could just say that directly, that his was a response. His was a response. How do you feel about this? It was a response more than an agenda item, a directive, a movement. Comments?
Well, I think if that happened once, if there was a question once, and it was a direct question of, do you think he should go? And he said yes, I might buy that. But it's been stated many, many times by him since then. And, I watched the interview, and I think the question came after a list of concerns that the mayor had. And it seemed to me to be a very natural question that followed. So, I don't think there's pure innocence in that, I was asked a question and I gave an honest answer. That could be true, but I would still say that, when you're in a leadership position, part of leadership is knowing that the community is always listening. And I just would say, if you have real concerns, let's start meeting, or I don't particularly want to meet a whole lot either. But if there are things that need to be addressed, I'm happy to try to address them.
8:16 on the Triple H Morning Show. As you sit here this morning, Mr. Superintendent, what are your feelings? I know one thing you described was being disappointed. Mm-hmm. What are you really feeling about all of this?
Well, look, I love the work that we do. I love the job of educating children. This is again, my life's work. This is what I've dedicated my career to doing. And the irony, as has been pointed out, is we're seeing really great progress and success in the Knox County schools. But really, by any objective measure, we're providing a terrific education to our children. Can we do better? Absolutely. Do we need to do more in terms of providing support to our teachers and our staff and our principals so that they can do their job as effectively as possible? No question. Do we have a long way to go in terms of accelerating success and making sure that academic success is universal in our school system? Absolutely. But that's the work. That's what we do. And so, I want to continue to do this work. I want to continue to do this work here. In Knoxville, Tennessee. This is where my family and we've made our home. We want to be here for the long term. And so, I'm excited about continuing, the work that we've started. I'm excited about the vision that the board has set for the future of excellence for every child. I mean, the board just adopted a new 5-year strategic plan, which is, I think, really builds on the success of the last 5 years. I think it speaks to the need to educate, to really meet the individual learning needs of each and every one of our 57,000 plus kids, to meet them where they are, to intervene if they're struggling, to challenge students who are doing well to do even better, and really just to make sure that our kids are ready for what they're going to face in their future, that they're prepared for a successful and bright future. And so I love doing this work, and I want to continue to do this work. So I am disappointed because I think this conversation, even just the conversation we're having this morning, is a waste of time. It's a huge distraction. We should be talking about the important work of educating children and what we're doing to make sure that we're improving that process, that we're investing in that process, that we're providing every child an opportunity to be successful. And instead, we're talking about, what I would consider a political dialogue about, some comments that have been made publicly.
I guess every person has a breaking point. There had been rumblings that executive headhunters were looking at you for other jobs in other places.
I get calls all the time, Hallerin, from other places. I mean, people are hungry for leadership, particularly in public education and in large school districts. And I get calls quite frequently encouraging me to apply elsewhere. But this is where I'd like to be. This is the work that I'd like to be doing, and this is the community in which I'd like to be doing it for our children. So, I would very much like to continue this important work for our kids, and very much like to continue to work toward achieving the ambitious goals that the school board has set. And I think we have a real opportunity, honestly, to do something special for public education for our children in this community. We have a lot of the right ingredients.
So you haven't reached the point at which you're like, you know what? You keep it up. I got 5 job offers right now. I'm out.
No, I mean, I'd like to be here. I'd like to continue this work. I think I've invested, 6 years of my professional life in laying a really strong foundation, and we've got a lot more work to do. As I said, I think we need to get it right in terms of supporting our teachers and providing them the resources and the tools that they need to do their job effectively. But I feel like we're moving in a very positive direction, and I'd like to do it here for the foreseeable future.
We got to take a break. I want to ask you when we come back from the break how the school board feels about this, and if you had to take a vote today, do you have any sense of does the entire school board support Dr. McIntyre? 8:27 on the Triple H Morning Show, News Talk 98.7 WOKI. We have the superintendent of Knox County Schools, Jim McIntyre, in the building with us. We have the chair of the school board, Lynn Fugate. Karen Carson has to work, so she had to get out of here. I wanted to take a couple of phone calls this morning, and then I want to ask a couple of questions before you get away this morning and give you a final thought. Let me take Stephen's call. Stephen, welcome to the broadcast. Stephen, what do you think? What's your question?
I'm just kind of curious why you're just so touchy-feely with Dr. McIntyre. I mean, ask him about his feelings and how he's feeling and everything like that. I mean, let's get to the nuts and bolts of it. Ask him about, I watched the interview with the county mayor, and I think the question that led up to about him leaving was about the grant money was for reading, that when Dr. McIntyre was asked about it, they didn't give Mayor Birch a straight answer about how the money was spent.
Would you like to re-ask the question?
Well, I mean, that's where this is all leading from. I mean,
okay, so what I'm saying is an efficient use of your time would be just go ahead and ask the question right now.
How was the money spent, and where was that money? Where did it all go to?
And be specific about the money, though. What are you talking about?
I believe it was a grant that the county gave the school board regarding the reading program.
Okay, let me get an answer for you on that, Stephen. Thanks for the call. Would you like to respond?
Sure. Yeah,
Chris? All right, go right ahead.
Sure. So this is actually, I think, a good example of where we've partnered with the mayor on, this was an early literacy initiative. And what we did was we worked with the mayor's office to develop a level of resources to put toward early literacy, and we did a variety we were very transparent about the strategies that we were going to put in place and how we were going to spend the dollars. And really it was about a good bit of intervention and support for students in the early grades across all of our schools, really. So literacy materials, additional staff to do small reading groups, instructional coaches to help enhance the skill of our elementary teachers as teachers of reading. And so, yeah, we have a full accounting of how those dollars were used. They were used exactly the way that we proposed that they would be used. And we're glad to share that information with whomever would like to see it.
Let me go to Angie. Angie, welcome to the broadcast. Angie, what do you think, or what's your question?
Well, I just wanted to call in because I've sat here and I've listened, and I've been concerned about things in the community, but I'm really supportive of Dr. McIntyre. I'm supportive of our teachers. I'm supportive of our board. I think we need to all learn how to take a step back and think before we speak. My kids have had a great experience in Knox County schools, wonderful teachers. I've seen Dr. McIntyre everywhere. I don't know how the man has a family life because I see him supporting our students and our schools everywhere. And what's been very frustrating, as has been mentioned on this show already, is the negativity when there are so many great things happening. Now, granted, there's a lot going on for teachers. There's a lot of things they have to do, and there's a lot of work to be done. Nothing's perfect, but we're seeing incredible gains. We have wonderful technology at Southville High School right now because of the leadership of this superintendent, and I just think the social media negativity helps no one, and that's been frustrating as a parent to see people act the way they do on social media. I just think we need to take a step back and communicate with each other personally and on one-on-one. And then for those of us who sit back and listen, to take an opportunity like this morning to say thank you to our teachers and our Board of Education, and especially to our superintendent.
Angie, thanks for the call. Now, by the way, remember this, because I'm going to give both Lynn Fugate and Dr. McIntyre an opportunity for a closing statement. To have the full discussion, this is a round thing that you're going to hear. Tomorrow morning at 7:30, the mayor's going to be on. So you'll hear all sides on this issue. Lynn Fugate, let me give you an opportunity to make a final statement.
Hallerin, I agree with the previous caller that really we need to take a step back. Nobody wants a fight. It isn't good for our children. It's not good for our teachers or our principals, the people doing the good work in our schools every day. I've run into people since, over the weekend and in schools who are saying, we hope this settles down. We think we're moving in a positive direction, and we want to keep moving in a positive direction. And so what I would say is I think I would really like for us to quit talking about who said what, and let's just work to do the best job we can do for the citizens of Knox County, and that is to provide a great public education system.
Dr. McIntyre, final thoughts.
Yeah, thanks, Alan. Thanks for having us on. And yeah, I agree. I mean, I think as a school system, we certainly have a lot more work to do to get where we want to be, which is excellence for every child. But we have made a lot of great progress. We have a lot of positive momentum. We need to make sure that we're supporting our teachers and our principals and our staff in the great work that they do. But I look forward to leading that effort of educating our children and preparing them for a bright future. And I look forward to doing that here in this community, and I look forward to doing that for the foreseeable future. And I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate that the Board of Education and this community have given me the opportunity to lead the effort around educating children. And I see it as a great privilege, and I look forward to continuing to do it.
Dr. McIntyre, thanks for being on the broadcast this morning. Lynn Fugate, Board Chair, thanks for being on the broadcast.
Thank you.